At this time, I'm going to start the expert panel discussion. So I would like Dr. Ishtiaq, who just sat down, to come back on the stage along with Han and Klaas. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a great opportunity to ask all kinds of questions. There's like a century worth of experience standing up on this stage right now. Combined experience, a century combined experience standing up on stage right now, and you guys have the floor. Please come up, take the mic, and ask any questions. Keep it professional, please.
One of the questions is, a lot of people are dealing with Neopest, so we appreciate the feedback that you've given on managing and dealing with Neopest and what it causes. A lot of people are using UVC light to treat mildew. Do you know if there's any research that it has any effect on Neopest at all? Because one of the things you were mentioning is starting early with some chemical treatments and keeping the pressure low. Do you see that UVC has an impact on Neopest, or is that just a mildew thing at the moment?
You know, yes.
Can I? One of the best research stations for strawberry, I think, is in Belgium, Hoogstraten. And I know Hoogstraten has done some research on it. And you do see declining, so it has some effects on the predators. At least for spider mites, we know. I think it's for specimens. On spider mites, we see effects, but also some on predators. And the end result of that research was that the spider mites were more affected as the predators.
I think the question was more for Neopest, so fungus Neopest.
What fungus?
Neopest.
Oh. In my opinion, as far as I know, the UVC has no effect on Neopest Lotiopsis. No. In my opinion, only mildew, powder mildew. No, in my opinion, they checked on other fungi. For example, one important mucor or rhizopus. That's also a problem, but it's not effective also against that. That's what they found in Hoogstraten, Belgium. Yeah, but what Klaas say, it's effective on spider mites, and the effect on spider mites is bigger than on yeah.
So he's saying ultraviolet rays on this fungi. Does it have impact on the Neopest, like and new plastic? How you say it, somebody?
Neopest Lotiopsis.
Yes. Ultraviolet rays, does it have impact?
No, the UVC,
You said ultraviolet.
Yeah, UVC.
UVC has no impact on Neopest Lotiopsis. Now, as far as we know.
Who would like to take this opportunity next? Go ahead, come on up.
You guys can ask as many questions you want, and we will not send you a bill at your greenhouses. Don't worry about that.
My question is to Klaas Plas about tray plants and propagation. So when we keep plants for 5, 6 or 8 weeks in trays.
Can you repeat? I don't hear very much, so a little bit.
Now you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So in propagation in tray field, when we plant the tips, so what is the most, you can say, the important point? Having 3 hearts or having 2 hearts or 1 heart plant? So, or it is not important?
You mean the tips, how many leaves they have?
No, yeah, the splitting, the hearts, the crowns.
Oh, the tray plant.
Yeah, in the tray plant. Because in your picture we see 3, we see 2 and 1.
Yeah.
So what is it important, or it is?
Yeah, for your total production it is, yes, because it's the development stage. So what you see, the plant is developing further and further and further. At the beginning you start with 1 crown, 2 crowns, 3 crowns, it's splitting and so on. And if you have a 1 crown plant, it's still very early in the development. So that means the potential yield at the beginning, at the very beginning, is lower. If you have already 3, 4 crowns, every crown is developing. You have new leaves in the I don't know how you call it, this part of the leaf there. You have a new bud coming, and the new bud is or a runner or a flower truss. So that means the more crowns you have, the more leaf development, the more flower trusses, the more potential yield. So it really matters what type of plant I have. Is it 1 crown or 4 crowns? I prefer 3, 4, 5 is a bit big, but 3, 4 crowns, but with a good leaf area and with some flower trusses, but not too much at the beginning. You want to have balance, and you want to be further in the development stage of the plant, because with that you gain a lot of time, and time you don't have. You have only 12 months in a year.
Now my question,
Sorry?
in the tray field, when plant is there for 7 weeks, you say,
Yeah.
in that time, how many crowns should the plant develop?
Oh, there it's this, yeah. I also like to have there the 3, 4 crowns about, but if your time is limited, you cannot do it in just a few weeks. So that means you have to start earlier. It's a matter of time, and you have to space the plant. If you don't space them, if you're gonna do 120 plants per square meter, no way.
So yeah, we discussed 100 plants per square meter. It is still a limit. So like 60, 70?
Yeah, it's depending of what plant you want to deliver. You want to deliver a 6-week plant or an 8-week plant or a 12-week plant. For a 6-week plant, I would say 100 plants is the max, but only if you can keep the plants compact. If you can keep the plants compact, it's also possible to get some, let's say, some start of crown development. If you grow the plants, you want to grow the plants too fast, you give, for example, too much nitrogen, you get long plants, then it becomes too dense, and the crown development will be less. So, but in my opinion, if you want really a plant with for example, 3 crowns, you must not make a 6-7 week plant, or maybe even not an 8-week plant. Maybe you have to go to a 10-week plant. But because in my opinion, it's not really possible to make a plant with 3 already visible crowns in 6-7 weeks. Maybe you can start the first building of a new crown, but you will not have a plant with 3 crowns after 7 weeks, in my opinion. But yeah.
Can I add something? One very important thing that comes up there is what type of plant do you want to have, but also what do you want to pay. A lot of growers say, from here, the price is $1, I don't want to pay more. I'm willing to pay $2 if I have a plant that pays me off with $5, no problem. And I think that's a good discussion to start with your propagator. What type of plant do you want to have? Maybe you should space them on only 30 plants per square meter. If it pays off, and it does, I love it. You will have completely different plants. And if it's $2, that's life.
Yeah, with the plant with 3 crowns, if you can plant with already visible plants, your harvest will start earlier with a decent flush, and on the end maybe you will have 3 or maybe 4 weeks a higher yield compared to when you start with the small plants, and maybe that's already the first kilo per square meter what you already have then at that moment. The difference.
So I'm telling you, I am not making plans for someone. So I am making for myself. And then what should be the plug size days, how many days, that I am saying, okay, it is good for me for all the year. Or how many crowns at that time when I take it transplanting to the slab or into the bucket.
Your question was when you, huh? Yeah, how many time you get to build a 3-crown plant? Yeah. If you have enough spacing, I would say at maybe 10 weeks, in my opinion. But then you have still not very big side grounds, but you see them already coming. So it's also, by the way, it's also better that you have not 3 crowns with the same stage of development. Then your first flush will come to too much fruits at once. You first, what also Klaas told in his lecture, first you must build a plant. So if the flowers are coming too much too quickly, then and you have it was not possible to build a good plant, then yeah, the plants will come also in a kind of stress, and you pay back later.
Now, an IPM question. At what stage of propagation we should start biocontrols and which to start with?
You mean with predators? Nou ja, first you must start in it when the tips are still on the mother plant. Because after tipping, the first 10 days, 2 weeks, they are all the time wet, the plants. So in my opinion, it makes no sense then to add predators. So if you can start clean and with some maybe with some predators that maybe not survive during that wet period, but then when you decrease irrigation from that time, and when you give the plants a chance to dry up, maybe that's a good time to start with it. But maybe you have another opinion.
Yeah, I think what Han says is starting clean, because the one of the main reason is you start early. Yes, one important thing I want to tell you is adaptability. Adaptability means any mites, any predators that have second generation in your greenhouse, they are, whatever is the second generation is 10 times more valuable than you can buy from any biocontrol company. If you have the second generation of Swirsky, second generation of Cucumaris, second generation of Persimilus, each individual of that second generation is 10 times better than you can buy from any biocontrol company. Any biocontrol company. So starting clean is important, and then having preventative bios that they sustain and they lay eggs is important. So when thrips is coming or strawberry mite is coming, then they can, they can deal with it.
Yeah, strawberry mite is important that you start with healthy plant material, mother plants. Huh? Yeah, predators, all predators, but also for cyclamen mite, because we didn't discuss about that, but that's one of the other main problems here. Yeah.
My question is for Klaas. We saw with you the optimal LAI for strawberries is somewhere between 3 and 3.5. We know between times it will be hard to keep this 3 and 2.5. I would like to know what the best strategies we can have to keep those numbers as long as possible.
As long as possible on a high LAI you mentioned? Yeah. So what Jan also already mentioned, that if you want to have an LAI and you will also have a wide range, so a wide wide leaf area in there. And if you want to have it, you need your leaf wire. That's the basic. So put your leaves behind the leaf wire, put your trusses, your flower trusses under the leaf wire on your truss support. And the other thing is, I've showed that big table with all kinds of data and so on. I don't say it's just one point of those. You're gonna need all those points to stay on a good vegetative and sometimes a generative side. But in general, what I see here, plants are way too generative, so try to keep them on the vegetative side, and you're gonna need most of those points listed in the table that was on the screen. And that is with irrigation strategy, that is with climate, that is with fertilization, and so on and so on. So a lot of things in there, CO2, and so on.
Who would like to go next?
Also, another method of asking question is write down the question and give it to Mary. I was surprised in North America, US and Canada, when they were getting top 10 fears. So the first one on the top was death, fear of death. That was the top. You know what was the second one? Public speaking was the second fear. After death, public speaking was the second, talking in front of people. So you can write down and give it to Mary as well. So there's again no fee for the questions.
And Ishtiaq was telling about the, how do you call that? Your last slide? Mastermind. I agree with your concept, your message, because actually that's the way how it works in Netherlands for as long as I can remember, that growers share knowledge and learn from each other, and then every year come a step higher. In my opinion, and now I'm touching our own business, but in my opinion, growers can learn more from each other than from consultants. So I would say, yeah.
If I may add something from my past, I've been working in northern Germany, a village Langvorden, and also a village under Hamburg. It was, I forgot the name. And Langvorden, they have a very strong cooperative selling, and that makes also because the growers are not competitors. They share a lot of information. In Langvorden, Bardewijk was the village, they didn't have it. So every grower was going to the same market, selling their own products, competitors of each other's, no sharing of information. At this time, Langvorden is one of the strongest growing areas in Germany, and Bardewijk is almost dead for growing, so no growers. Because sharing information is so important. Without sharing, you're ruining your own business almost.
Yeah.
So I am, as I mentioned, that I am part of EO, that's called Entrepreneurial Organization, Entrepreneurs Organization. We are 19,000 entrepreneurs from 64 countries. I went to Hawaii. We had more than 1,600 entrepreneurs, leaders of leaders came there. So I met with a C-level person from Costco, and when I was talking with him, and that person said, Ishtiaq, if Canada produces 10 times more strawberries in the greenhouses, still demand will still be there. If Canadian strawberry production becomes 10 times more, then now there would be more demand. Even after 10 times more, still there will be more demand.
I remember maybe 20 years ago in Netherlands we had about, or 25 years ago, maybe we had 100 hectares of greenhouses with strawberries. And then it was already panic because one grower started also with 2 or 3 hectares. So it should become too much. Now, in the meantime, how many greenhouses we have? 500-600 hectares, and it's still booming business. So.
So I work on tissue culture, like propagating strawberries in the controlled conditions. So I have a question. that what are the strategies we should follow before we send those tissue culture planters out into the field, and how many seasons they should be there in the greenhouse, or is there specific measures or control practices that needs to be followed so that they are free from any kind of pests or diseases in the field?
Yeah, just let's say tissue culture plant when it's coming from the lab, I would say it should be disease free. But then you have only plants from the lab, but then the next steps should be made. That's again the same. They have to follow the same strategy almost at the moment as normal plants from tips, so they can affect it as well. Huh? Yeah, that's another thing. Tissue culture plants you want to make, or you make for mother plants or for directly to production?
For production.
Okay, because for production, I would say it's expensive, I guess. But if you can make a good plant, then it should be no problem. But we have seen now. I'm not saying that happens with all varieties, but in the past, in the last actually few years, we have seen issues with tissue culture plants, that they were for let's say 1% or something like that, were off-type plants. They were not the original variety anymore. And in the cases I know that were ever-bearing varieties, or day neutral, what they say, they were, let's say, mutated to a June bearer. Wow. They were missing one part of a chromosome. And if you use that plant for dielectric production, I would say, okay, maybe then, not always, but maybe you you have 0.5% or 1% maybe off-type plants. But if you use that plant for propagation, you will multiply the off-type plants very quickly, because it's also the off-type plants which were mutated to this June bearer. They made much more tips than the original plant. For example, the original plant made 30 tips, and the off-type plant made 60 tips. So then it's going very quickly. And in the last few years, there were a few propagators who propagated that 2 or 3 times. So, and then some fruit production growers, they had up to 20% off-type plants in their crop. Yeah, and that's it's not what we want.
Maybe Klaas. Right. The somaclonal variations are very common in strawberry. We have seen that problem. But let's say if we exclude that part and we have taken care of that, we shouldn't get mutated, and then we send those plants to the greenhouse. So what we observe is that we should keep them in the greenhouse for at least 2 generations before we put them in the field. Is that the right strategy, or shall we, increase or decrease the number of cycles in the greenhouse?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's also the way you're propagating, so you're using all different kind of plant hormones, and that stimulates, in general, those plants in a vegetative growth, vegetative development. So a generative development is delayed, and it's harder. I don't know exact number, it's 1 year or 2 years, but somewhere in that range. Yeah, makes sense.
But tissue culture plants, they are very clean, and when you plant that tissue culture plants in another substrate which is also clean, there is not any natural resiliency in the substrate. So if there is some disease like Neopest in the environment, infection will go very quickly. I remember when they founded the tray plant, and that's about 35 years ago. I was already there. 35 years ago, that the founder said, now we have founded something, and now we have no problems anymore with soil-borne diseases, because we have clean substrate, we grow on a clean field, our tips were not in contact with the soil. Now, the years after, I have never seen so much problems with Phytophthora cactorum, for example.
Do you see benefits of orthosilicic acid in strawberry production, like monosilicic acid?
Monosilicic acid in strawberries.
There are some advantages of acylic acid. So acylic acid is stimulating the immune renser, or renser is a Hungarian word, immune system of the strawberries. It does something, yes. It comes a bit with a price. At least that's what I don't have practical experience with it. But what they taught me, it comes with a price. It takes a little bit of energy of the plant, so it comes, but it seems to work on some level. But I normally would go first for the alternatives that we have in predators and natural plant protection agent.
Before we conclude the speaking portion of the event, the expert panels, do you have any final advice or thoughts that you want to share with the future experts of the strawberry industry?
I can repeat what I just said. Share knowledge, share experience together, and be also just be honest, because that's also sometimes happening, not here only, but everywhere. When you ask how many kilos you picked, oh, we had 18 kilos, but they didn't have, or they say we have 18 kilos, but they don't say they have only 10 kilos class 1 and 8 kilos class 2. So also be honest, because that's the way, the best way to learn from each other. And 1 year one grower is maybe a little more successful, and other year the other grower is more successful. But I think that's really the best way to learn from each other, or to make steps forward. Tips?
For myself, Crop Defenders was established in 2007. And what I'm looking at, because we meet so many people, we meet, not only in Canada and US, I have seen one thing, and that thing made me give this proposal in front of you, having mastermind growers, mastermind owners, is one greenhouse is doing one good thing, but one or two, the things that other greenhouse is doing better, and another greenhouse is doing another different thing better. And I have seen that, what if that all those good things or best practices that is providing financial benefit to individual greenhouses, collectively all those greenhouses are doing? What if? What if one technique is making a greenhouse of 40 acres strawberries, for example, $250,000 more, but another technique, another greenhouse is doing that is making that greenhouse another $100,000 more, another greenhouse saving. I'm talking about bottom line effect. I'm not talking about yield effect. It could be cost saving, it could be labor management, it could be some other things. So this mastermind group, right now, people in Leamington or people in Ontario, they see competing with each other. What if we, instead of competing, what if we are completing each other? Not competing each other, but completing each other.
Thank you. I was just thinking, there are lots of things to say. I would say, love your strawberries. Love what you're doing. And at the end, I think it's also COVID. You have to think why you do it. What are the people going to place you on a headstone?
Thank you very much. Please give them a round of applause.